Most people struggle with strawberries not because the plants are difficult, but because they overlook a few critical fundamentals. When those basics are missed, strawberries underperform, no matter how much effort you put in. Today, you're going to learn 5 proven steps that transform strawberries into one of the most productive, reliable plants you can grow at home. No chemicals, no complicated setups, just a clear, repeatable system that keeps strawberry plants producing again and again. Follow these steps in order and you'll quickly see why some gardeners harvest bowl after bowl for months, while others barely taste a few berries. Let's start at the beginning. 1. Choose the right strawberry type for continuous harvests. The path to long-lasting strawberry production starts well before planting day. In fact, the biggest mistake most beginners make happens right at the nursery: choosing the wrong kind of strawberry plant. Even perfect soil, ideal sunlight, and careful watering won't matter if the plant itself isn't genetically built to keep producing. Strawberries don't all fruit the same way. There are 3 main types, and each follows a very different schedule. June-bearing strawberries. These plants are designed for one large, dramatic harvest. They produce heavily for a short window in late spring or early summer, then shut down. After that burst, they shift their energy into leaves and runners instead of fruit. June bearers are excellent if you want a single large crop for preserving or freezing, but they are the worst choice for ongoing harvests. Once they finish, you're waiting until next year. Ever-bearing strawberries. Ever-bearing types are far better suited for home gardeners who want fruit over time. Instead of one harvest, they produce multiple waves, usually one in late spring, another in midsummer, and a final one in early fall. While they may slow down during extreme heat, they're naturally inclined to keep flowering and fruiting whenever conditions are favorable. Day-neutral strawberries. Day-neutral varieties are the true workhorses. These plants aren't triggered by day length at all. As long as temperatures stay roughly between 35 degrees Fahrenheit and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, they continue producing flowers and berries. This means steady harvests from spring through fall, and in mild climates or protected growing spaces even longer. If your goal is nearly non-stop strawberries, day-neutral plants are the best option available. For continuous production, June-bearing varieties simply don't fit the plan. Instead, focus on ever-bearing or day-neutral strawberries that are bred specifically for long seasons and consistent output. Some of the most dependable long-harvest varieties include Albion, large, sweet berries with strong disease resistance, Seascape, heavy yields and excellent adaptability, San Andreas, uniform fruit size and reliable production, Mar de Bois, outstanding aroma and rich gourmet flavor, EV2, consistent performance in both beds and containers. These varieties are known for steady fruiting, great taste, and resilience. Starting with the right genetics means healthier plants, longer harvest windows, and far fewer problems down the line. Endless strawberries don't begin in the soil. They begin with one smart choice at the nursery. 2. Give strawberries the ideal place to grow. Strawberries may be compact plants, but they run almost entirely on sunlight. Light isn't a bonus, it's the engine behind flowering and fruit production. Without enough sun, even the highest quality strawberry varieties will underperform. To produce heavily, strawberries need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. The more sun they receive, the more energy they generate, and the more flowers and berries they can support. Plants grown in partial shade often appear lush and green, yet produce very few fruits. The perfect strawberry location combines 3 critical conditions: plenty of direct sun. Choose the brightest area you have. South-facing spots, open garden beds, patios, balconies, rooftops, and uncovered yards are all excellent choices. Avoid locations shaded for much of the day by trees, walls, or structures. Good air movement. Air circulation is essential for strawberry health. Still, humid air encourages fungal diseases that attack leaves, flowers, and fruit. Open locations and proper plant spacing help leaves dry quickly after watering or rain, keeping disease pressure low. Fast, reliable drainage. Strawberries cannot tolerate soggy soil. Roots sitting in wet conditions quickly rot, leading to weak plants, poor yields, and eventual failure. If your soil is heavy or clay-based, growing in raised beds or containers is strongly recommended. Raised beds allow excess water to drain away and warm up earlier in spring, giving strawberries a head start. Containers provide even greater control. One overlooked benefit of container growing is temperature regulation. Pots warm faster in spring, encouraging earlier flowering, and cool faster in fall, often extending fruiting later into the season. Strawberries grow well in many setups, including in-ground beds, raised beds, hanging baskets, vertical planters, grow bags, and pots. Regardless of the system, drainage is non-negotiable. Containers must have drainage holes and soil should never remain saturated. When strawberries are planted in the right place, everything becomes easier. Roots stay healthy, leaves remain strong, and plants focus their energy on producing fruit instead of struggling to survive. Strong roots build strong plants. Strong plants create more flowers, and flowers turn into long-lasting strawberry harvests. 3. Build rich, living soil that feeds continuously. If sunlight supplies the energy for strawberries, soil is the system that keeps everything running. And for long, uninterrupted harvests, plain garden dirt just won't do the job. Strawberries demand a steady flow of nutrients, but they thrive on balance, not sudden fertilizer surges. The objective is to create living soil that nourishes plants slowly, consistently, and naturally over time. High-performing strawberry soil shares 3 essential traits: a loose, airy texture, a slightly acidic pH, around 5.5 to 6.5, a high level of organic matter. Loose soil allows fine strawberry roots to expand freely while accessing oxygen and moisture. When soil is compacted, roots struggle to breathe, water becomes trapped, and nutrient uptake drops sharply. An open, fluffy structure also improves drainage, which is critical for preventing root diseases and rot. Strawberries favor slightly acidic conditions because that's where nutrient absorption works best. In this pH range, vital elements like phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium remain readily available. Outside of it, nutrients may exist in the soil but stay chemically inaccessible to the plant. Before planting, your goal is to fully charge the soil, creating a nutrient reserve that supports months of growth and fruiting. Begin by incorporating high-quality compost or well-aged manure. Compost improves structure, boosts organic matter, and introduces beneficial microorganisms that drive nutrient cycling. Aged manure adds gentle, slow-release nitrogen that fuels growth without damaging roots. Together, they form the backbone of a living soil system. Next, add worm castings. Few amendments are as effective. Worm castings enhance moisture retention, stimulate microbial life, and supply a balanced blend of nutrients. They also contain natural compounds that encourage stronger root systems and increased flower production. For reliable flowering and fruit formation, strawberries need phosphorus in a slow, stable form. Organic bone meal or rock phosphate provides this support gradually, strengthening roots and sustaining flower development without forcing excessive growth. Blend these materials thoroughly into the top 8 to 12 inches of soil before planting. This creates a nutrient-rich zone where roots can feed steadily without stress or interruption. One important caution: avoid fresh manure and high nitrogen fertilizers. Fresh manure is too aggressive. It can burn roots, introduce harmful pathogens, and trigger excessive leaf growth. High nitrogen fertilizers push plants to produce lush foliage at the expense of flowers and fruit. When nitrogen is too abundant, strawberries may look impressive but yield disappointingly few berries. Healthy soil creates balanced plants. Balanced plants maintain steady leaf growth, strong roots, and ongoing flower production all at once. To maintain fertility, apply a light top dressing of compost or worm castings every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season. This keeps nutrients flowing smoothly without shocking the plant or disrupting soil biology. Think of your soil as a slow-release power source. When it's properly built from the beginning, strawberries don't struggle or stall. They simply keep producing. Healthy soil doesn't just grow strawberries, it sustains harvest after harvest. 4. Plant correctly. Crown placement determines everything. This step may look minor, but it's one of the most common reasons strawberry plants fail to produce well. Strawberries are extremely sensitive to planting depth, and even a small error here can quietly ruin the entire season. At the center of every strawberry plant is the crown, the thick junction where roots and leaves meet. This is the plant's control center. If the crown isn't positioned correctly, the plant struggles no matter how good the soil, water, or sunlight may be. Plant the crown too deep and it stays constantly damp, leading to rot and disease. Plant it too high and the roots dry out, weakening the plant before it can establish. The correct position is precise. The crown must sit exactly at soil level, neither buried nor exposed. When planting strawberries, slow down. This is not a step to rush. Begin by digging a hole wide enough to allow the roots to spread naturally. Strawberry roots should never be folded upward, crammed into a tight space, or twisted. Instead, gently fan them outward and downward so they can grow freely into the soil. Hold the plant in place so the crown rests right at the surface. As you backfill, carefully work soil around the roots. Press gently, firm enough to hold the plant upright, but light enough to keep air pockets in the soil. Compacted soil suffocates roots and delays establishment. After planting, water thoroughly. This step is essential. Deep watering settles the soil, removes hidden air gaps, and ensures the roots make full contact with their new environment. Proper watering at planting dramatically reduces transplant shock and speeds up early growth. Spacing is just as critical as depth. In containers, space plants about 10 to 12 inches apart. In garden beds, allow 12 to 18 inches between plants. This spacing ensures every plant receives adequate sunlight, airflow, and access to nutrients. Good spacing also reduces disease pressure and gives each plant room to produce runners and fruit without competition. Crowded strawberry plants fight each other for light and nutrients. The result is smaller berries, fewer flowers, and weaker plants. Proper spacing allows each plant to operate at full capacity. For the first couple of weeks after planting, keep soil consistently moist while roots establish. Once settled, strawberries become far more resilient and productive. Correct planting builds strong roots. Strong roots support healthy crowns. And healthy crowns are the foundation of continuous strawberry production. 5. Master watering for constant fruit production. If soil is the engine and sunlight is the fuel, water is the component that keeps everything synchronized. Strawberries depend heavily on consistent moisture, and even short periods of improper watering can halt fruit production. The guiding principle is simple but strict. Soil should stay evenly moist, never bone dry, never waterlogged. Strawberries have shallow root systems, which means they dry out quickly. One hot day without water can stress plants enough to cause flower drop or stalled fruit development. At the opposite extreme, saturated soil suffocates roots, leads to rot, and invites disease. This is why uneven watering is one of the biggest causes of poor strawberry yields. When strawberries experience moisture stress, the consequences appear fast. Flower formation slows or stops. Developing berries remain small or deformed. Flavor becomes sour or bitter. Plants redirect energy from fruiting to survival. During flowering and fruit development, strawberries need reliable access to moisture every day. The best approach is deep, controlled watering. Allow water to soak into the root zone rather than skimming the surface. Frequent shallow watering trains roots to stay near the top, making plants even more vulnerable to drying out. Deep watering encourages stronger, wider root systems that support long-term production. Always water at the base of the plant. Avoid overhead watering whenever possible. Wet leaves and flowers create ideal conditions for fungal diseases such as gray mold and powdery mildew. In warm weather, these diseases can wipe out a crop surprisingly fast. Morning is the ideal time to water. Plants absorb moisture when they need it most, and any splashed leaves have time to dry during the day. Evening watering leaves soil cold and wet overnight, increasing the risk of root and crown rot. One of the most effective tools for perfect moisture control is mulch. A thick layer of organic mulch, clean straw, pine needles, shredded leaves, or fine wood chips dramatically improves growing conditions. Mulch locks moisture into the soil, slows evaporation during hot weather, suppresses weeds that steal water and nutrients, keeps berries clean and off the soil, stabilizes soil temperature around the roots. Mulched strawberry plants require less frequent watering and stay evenly hydrated much longer. This consistency is exactly what keeps flowers forming and berries developing without interruption. As a general guide, strawberries need about 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week. Containers dry out faster, so during warm weather they may need daily watering. A simple test works well. Push your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If it feels dry, water. If it's still moist, wait. When watering is done correctly, strawberries stop struggling and start producing. Flowers continue forming, berries swell evenly, flavors improve, and plants remain productive for months instead of weeks. Master water management, and you unlock one of the most important secrets to steady, long-lasting strawberry harvests. Have you ever wandered through a forest edge, open meadow, or along a quiet riverbank without realizing you passed by food that once sustained entire cultures? Long before grocery stores, imported fruit, and tidy produce displays, people depended on wild fruits growing naturally around them. These weren't rare treats, they were dependable staples. Sweet or tart, nutrient-rich, and deeply tied to the landscape. Today, many of these fruits are overlooked, dismissed as weeds, or simply forgotten. But they deserve a return. Not out of nostalgia alone, but for food resilience, nutrition, and rebuilding our connection to the natural world. Here are 10 once essential wild fruits that native foragers gathered. Fruits that belong back in our gardens and diets. 1. Pawpaw. The pawpaw is the largest fruit native to North America, yet it remains one of the continent's most underrated food plants. Long before modern food systems, indigenous communities valued pawpaws as an important seasonal food. From the outside, the fruit looks modest, but inside is a creamy custard-like pulp with a flavor often compared to banana, mango, melon, and a touch of vanilla. For people far from tropical climates, this was an extraordinary source of sweetness and calories. Pawpaw trees naturally grow in fertile woodland understories, along rivers and near streams. They often form patches through underground suckers, which made them easy to find and harvest year after year. Native foragers enjoyed the fruit fresh in late summer and early autumn, a key time for building energy reserves before winter. In some areas, the pulp was dried or blended with other foods to help preserve it. Nutritionally, pawpaws provide carbohydrates, vitamin C, magnesium, potassium, and antioxidant compounds, making them both filling and health-supporting. One of the pawpaw's greatest advantages is how well it fits its native ecosystem. Unlike many modern fruit varieties bred for looks and transport, pawpaws evolved in place. They naturally resist numerous pests and diseases, partly thanks to protective chemicals in their leaves and bark. Their unusual flowers are pollinated by beetles and flies rather than bees, reflecting ancient ecological relationships that industrial farming rarely considers. Despite all this, pawpaws never became a mainstream commercial fruit. Their thin skin bruises easily and they ripen fast, which makes shipping difficult. So they faded from large-scale agriculture, not because they lack taste or nutrition, but because they don't suit industrial distribution. Rediscovering pawpaws reminds us that some of the most valuable foods are local, resilient, and deeply connected to the land. Growing them in home gardens or food forests helps restore a native abundance that has been hiding in plain sight. 2. Service berries, sometimes called Juneberries, shadbush, or Saskatoons, were once among the most relied upon fruits for indigenous peoples across North America. These small bluish-purple berries resemble blueberries, but often offer a deeper, more layered flavor with subtle almond or apple notes from their edible seeds. Ripening in early summer, they were often one of the first sweet foods available after winter, making them especially important to native foragers. Communities gathered service berries in large amounts. The fruit was eaten fresh, dried into raisin-like snacks, or crushed and combined with dried meat and fat to make pemmican, an energy-dense food that could last for months or even years. Nutritionally, service berries are impressive. They contain antioxidants, iron, fiber, vitamin C, and natural sugars, providing both quick energy and lasting nourishment. Beyond their fruit, serviceberry trees offered reliability and beauty. They tolerate cold climates, dry spells, poor soils, and strong winds, thriving where many other fruit trees fail. In spring, they burst into clouds of white blossoms. In summer, green foliage frames clusters of ripening berries. In autumn, leaves turn brilliant shades of red, orange, and gold. Few plants deliver so much across the seasons. As agriculture shifted toward monocultures and imported produce, serviceberries slipped out of the food landscape and became mostly ornamental. Many people recognize the tree but don't realize the fruit is edible, or that it once helped sustain entire communities. Unlike delicate modern crops, serviceberries need little care, no heavy chemical inputs, and integrate well with wildlife, feeding birds and supporting pollinators. Bringing service berries back isn't just about reintroducing a fruit. It's about restoring a practical, time-tested relationship with the land. They represent food security, adaptability, and ecological harmony. For gardeners seeking resilient, low-maintenance plants suited to changing climates, service berries are a living example that traditional knowledge still holds powerful solutions. 3. American persimmon. Before Asian persimmons became common in orchards and markets, the American persimmon was already a treasured native fruit across much of North America. From the Midwest down through the Southeast, this hardy tree provided a seasonal sweetness that people eagerly awaited. When perfectly ripe, the fruit becomes incredibly rich and smooth, with a flavor often compared to honey, dates, caramel, and deep brown sugar. Those who gathered it traditionally understood one key rule: patience. Unripe persimmons are extremely astringent and unpleasant, but once fully mature, often after autumn frosts, they soften, darken, and turn intensely sweet. At this stage, they were eaten fresh, mashed into pulp, baked into breads and puddings, or dried to preserve for colder months. American persimmons were prized not just for taste, but for dependability. These trees handle drought, poor soils, heat, and general neglect far better than many orchard fruits. After establishment, they require little care and can bear heavily for decades. Their strong root systems allow them to thrive where apples or peaches might struggle. Ecologically, they are just as valuable. Their fruit feeds deer, raccoons, birds, foxes, and other wildlife. Their flowers benefit native pollinators, and their dense wood was historically used for tools and durable goods. Even so, the fruit never became commercially dominant because it ripens unevenly and bruises easily. Drawbacks for shipping, but irrelevant for home growers and foragers. The American persimmon reminds us that extraordinary sweetness often comes from learning natural timing rather than forcing uniform harvests. It's a native abundance that still grows quietly along forest edges and fields for those who know when to look. 4. Beach plum. On the sandy shores and coastal dunes of the northeastern United States grows a fruit perfectly adapted to harsh conditions: the beach plum. For coastal indigenous communities, this resilient shrub provided an important seasonal food in landscapes where traditional farming could be difficult. Beach plums are small, round fruits that ripen to deep purple or nearly black, often with a dusty blue coating. Their flavor is bold, tart, rich, and complex. While they can be eaten fresh by those who enjoy sharp fruit, they truly shine when cooked. They have long been prized for making outstanding jams, jellies, sauces, and syrups with far more depth than many cultivated plums. What makes beach plums especially impressive is their toughness. They grow in sandy, low-nutrient soils, tolerate salt spray, withstand strong winds, and endure drought. Their spreading roots help hold dunes together and reduce erosion, making them valuable both as food plants and as protectors of fragile coastal land. Historically, beach plums were gathered in abundance, and local food traditions formed around them. As development expanded and wild coastal areas shrank, the fruit gradually faded from everyday awareness. Their uneven ripening and variable fruit size made them unsuitable for industrial farming, but ideal for small-scale harvest and home use. Today, their resilience may be more relevant than ever. With rising sea levels, stronger storms, and increasing soil salinity affecting coastal agriculture, beach plums continue to thrive exactly where many conventional crops fail. They offer a practical, edible answer for challenging environments. Bringing beach plums back means more than restoring a fruit. It means learning again how to work with landscapes rather than against them, and recognizing that some of the most valuable food plants are those already perfectly designed for their environment. 5. Chokecherry. The name might sound unappealing, but chokecherry was one of the most important wild fruits for many indigenous nations across North America. Long before orchards and commercial fruit farms, these hardy trees provided dependable harvests in places where cultivated fruit struggled. The berries grow in heavy clusters and ripen to deep red or nearly black, making it possible to gather large amounts at once. Raw chokecherries are intensely tart and drying to the mouth, a strong first impression that hides their real value. Traditional foragers knew that preparation was the key. Cooking, drying, or fermenting the fruit softens its astringency and reveals deep, complex flavors, often described as rich, wine-like, with subtle almond notes from the pits. Historically, the berries were crushed whole, skins, pulp, and pits together, and dried into firm cakes. These preserved foods were dense in nutrients and could be stored for months or even years. Chokecherry played a major role in pemmican, the long-lasting food made from dried meat, fat, and fruit. The berries contributed acidity, flavor, and natural preservation, turning pemmican into a balanced survival food for travel and winter use. This shows how central chokecherry was, not just a seasonal treat, but a foundation of food security. Ecologically, chokecherry is extremely adaptable. It grows across vast regions, plains, valleys, foothills, and mountains, and tolerates cold, drought, poor soil, and wind. While modern taste may overlook its bold flavor, chokecherry offers something rare today: deep cultural significance, exceptional toughness, and a long history of supporting sustainable food traditions. 6. Buffalo berry. Buffalo berry is another overlooked native fruit that once held major importance, particularly in the dry and demanding environments of the Great Plains and northern regions. These bright red berries grow on thorny shrubs that succeed where few other fruiting plants can, in dry soils, full sun, strong winds, and low rainfall. In landscapes that seem inhospitable, buffalo berry quietly produces nourishment. For indigenous foragers, buffalo berries were valued for both nutrition and adaptability. They are especially rich in vitamin C, which helped protect health during long winters when fresh food was limited. While the berries can be eaten fresh when fully ripe, they were often processed. Drying improved storage, and cooking mellowed their sharp taste into something deeper and more enjoyable. One of the most unique traditional foods made from buffalo berries is sometimes called Indian ice cream. When the ripe berries are whipped with water, they create a thick pink foam, almost like a natural mousse. This happens because the fruit contains natural foaming compounds. Sweetened with other fruits or honey, it became both a nourishing and celebratory dish. A perfect example of deep knowledge of local plants. Buffalo berry shrubs also improve the land itself. They fix nitrogen in the soil, enriching poor ground and helping surrounding plants grow better. This makes them regenerative, supporting ecosystems while providing food. In a time when drought, soil decline, and climate stress are growing concerns, buffalo berry stands out as a plant already adapted to tough conditions. It needs little care, thrives where modern crops fail, feeds people, and restores soil, carrying generations of ecological wisdom within it. Reintroducing buffalo berry isn't only about adding a fruit to our diets. It's about rediscovering resilience and a more balanced relationship with the land. 7. Mayhaw. Mayhaw is a small native tree of the southeastern United States that once held real importance in seasonal foraging traditions, yet today it's known mostly in local pockets. It naturally grows in wetlands, river bottoms, and floodplains, places where many fruit trees fail. That ability alone made it valuable. In early spring, when winter food stores were nearly gone and fresh harvests were still weeks away, mayhaw fruits ripened right on time to provide brightness, nutrition, and flavor. The fruits are small, round, and typically bright red, though some lean toward orange or yellow. Eaten fresh, they're sharply sour, almost startlingly tart, but that acidity is exactly why they shine in the kitchen. Their bold flavor made them ideal for preserving. Foragers and early settlers turned mayhaws into clear jellies, syrups, sauces, and tonics, believed to aid digestion and overall health. Mayhaw jelly became especially famous, jewel-like in color and fresh tasting, almost like bottled springtime. Mayhaw trees are also valued for toughness. They tolerate periodic flooding, dense clay soils, and variable growing conditions that would stress most orchard fruits. They bloom early, offering nectar and pollen to pollinators at a time when few other food sources are available. Today, mayhaw remains a regional specialty in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and eastern Texas. It never fit large-scale commercial systems, but in an era of heavier rains and unpredictable weather, its natural adaptation to wet landscapes makes it increasingly relevant. Reviving mayhaw means rediscovering a fruit already designed for resilience. 8. Elderberry. Elderberry is one of the most respected native fruits in traditional foraging, valued as both nourishment and medicine. For countless generations, indigenous communities used elderberries as a key seasonal resource. The dark purple berries were rarely eaten raw. Instead, they were cooked into syrups, wines, preserves, and healing preparations. Even the creamy white blossoms were gathered, brewed into teas, or fermented into refreshing drinks. Its importance comes largely from its immune-supporting qualities. Long before laboratory studies, people recognized elderberry's ability to help the body during illness, especially in cold and flu seasons. Modern research now confirms that elderberries contain powerful antioxidants and plant compounds that support immune defenses and reduce inflammation. Elderberry syrup became a household remedy passed through families. From a growing standpoint, elderberry is generous and adaptable. The shrubs grow quickly, spread easily, and handle many soil types, from moist stream edges to drier open ground. They tolerate sun or partial shade and don't require constant care. Even neglected plants can produce heavy clusters of berries year after year. Elderberry also supports the broader ecosystem. Its flowers draw pollinators, its fruits feed birds and wildlife, and its root systems help stabilize soil along waterways and slopes. Traditionally, it wasn't just a fruit plant. It was part of an interconnected landscape that sustained people and nature together. Although elderberry is reappearing in modern herbal products, many people don't realize how simple it is to grow and use at home. Restoring elderberry to everyday life reconnects us with a plant that represents resilience, self-reliance, and long-standing foraging knowledge. Together, mayhaw and elderberry show that some of the most valuable foods aren't exotic imports. They're native plants that have quietly supported communities for centuries, waiting to be remembered.